Welcome to This Week, There's a Book in My Nook, and my first book this week is going to be The Future of Us. I kind of mentioned this in a previous one, and it sounded so interesting that I went back, checked it out, and read it, and it was really good. This is by Jay Asher, and this is the story of two kids. They're 16, I guess a little bit older than that, must be 17, because I think they're seniors. I'm trying to think of what their names were, though. That sounds horrible, but Josh and Emma. They're next door neighbors, and they've been friends since they were little. But over the last year, they've kind of grown apart because Josh had feelings for Emma that she didn't have for him. She just thought of him as a brother. Well, her dad is divorced from her mom, and to kind of, I don't know, win her over, he sends her a computer. Now, you got to realize this is 1996, so hardly anybody had computers. They're just starting out being in homes. Sends her this computer. Well, I don't know if you guys can remember, the younger ones won't, but she used to always get these AOL discs in the mail constantly. Do you remember that, Karen? Wanting you to sign on to AOL, and you'd get like 30 days free with AOL.
Oh, I do, but I don't remember getting them in the mail.
Yeah, you would get them in the mail.
Okay.
Well, Josh's parents had got one, and they found out she got a computer, so like, oh, take this over to Emma and have her use it. So he does. She signs on, gets on the computer, gets everything set up, and across the top comes a banner that says, "Welcome to Facebook." Well, of course, Facebook has not been invented yet. She doesn't know that. She gets on and starts, it's really weird to her. There's all these pictures and different people and all this, and she sees her name. She goes, "Oh, that's weird. Somebody has my name." She looks up. Wow, they even have my birthday. She starts looking at pictures, and she's like, "That's me 15 years in the future." And she's like, is someone playing a prank? Have they, done some photo editing? She looks up and sees that she's married and all this where she works. It's just really weird. And it freaks her out, and she gets off. Well, then the curiosity gets the best of her, and she gets on again later that night. And every time she hits refresh, there's more information. There's new posts. So then she looks at Josh next door and sees that he's married to basically the most popular girl that's in school right now that doesn't have any time of day for him. They're married and have kids and have all this money and live in this great house. Well, her future isn't quite so sunny. She talks about how she's unhappy in her marriage on Facebook. She talks about she doesn't like her job, and she's like, this is crap. He's got everything he wants, and I took the wrong path. So she decides, I'm going to start changing things that might lead to this future. So she sees where she went to college on there, and she's like, I'm never going to college there. After she says that, she hits refresh, her future's different. So she tells him about it. He thinks it's a prank, doesn't believe her. Finally, she convinces him, and he's like, yeah, I'm married to so-and-so, and we have this great house and these kids, and he's all for it. Well, she kind of actually starts realizing that she feels a little jealous. She thought she had no feelings. Well, maybe not so. Well, he instantly then decides, if I'm going to marry this girl anyway, I might as well start liking her now. I'm going to go talk to her. He never had the guts to do that before. Find out she had liked him. So they start a relationship. But he's just not that thrilled with this gorgeous, popular girl. She's nice and all, but he just doesn't feel about her the way he still feels about Emma. And he's also scared because Emma keeps changing things. She will do something drastically that she knows is going to alter something. Like she was going to be in these classes for summer break that she was taking these extra classes to the college. She decides to change all those classes. When she hits refresh, she now lives in a different part of the country and is married to somebody else. Wow. And now she has a daughter. And that's different. Then she sees that her best friend is a single mom. Well, her best friend has a little girl that's 16 years old. This is 15 years in the future. She looks it up, and that means her friend is going to be getting pregnant in the next couple months. So she's like, how do I stop this from my friend making, So there's all these things, and it's really boggles the mind to think if you could do that.
However, towards the end, does it come back to bite? I would think, yeah.
Things start changing more and more. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it was really interesting because it really makes you think if you could get on Facebook and how maybe this would change. And that, something as simple as saying, I'm not going to that college, or I'm going to take a different college class, or you know what? I never tried out for that play. I always wanted to try out for one. I'm going to try out for a play.
Right.
Or I'm going to quit the track team. How each decision affects who
You
you,
know,
meet, what you do.
That's always on those surveys and all that. People always ask, if you could go back and change one thing, would you go back and change it? I don't think I'd go and change a thing.
There's things that, yes, I'd like to change, but I don't want my children to not be there. So you can't. And, because
Right,
that's
right.
what can happen. I mean, I
Exactly.
don't want to say, well, if I didn't do this, then, I wouldn't have the kids I have now. So
Exactly.
that's a deal breaker for me. I can't do that.
Right. That's why I wouldn't.
But she doesn't feel like that. First of all, she's 17, so
Right.
she's never met these kids
Right.
before. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, she changes it sometimes, and she'll have a daughter. Next time she gets on, she has a son.
That's bizarre.
It's really weird, but
It's
it's
bizarre.
good. So if you get a chance to read it, I would definitely recommend it. And if you like kind of time travel books, there was a couple others that I had thought sounded really interesting. We don't have them here at the library. You can request them though. I thought this one sounded really good. It's Endless by Amanda Gray. And this is about a girl named Jenny Kramer. And she has always felt like she doesn't really belong where she's at. She kind of feels, I don't know, just out of sorts. Well, she meets this friend, his name is Ben, and they find this music box in the store. And inside the music box, there's these instructions for mesmeration. They think it's funny. They try it.
It's mesmeration.
Where it puts you in like a dream state where you can supposedly travel outside your body.
Oh, okay.
Well, that happens and they time travel. And they time travel to Russia. And I'm not sure if it says what year. It doesn't say. It just says they time travel to Russia. And there she sees this boy named Nikolai that she's been having dreams about ever since she was little. And she realizes that she's had a past life. And Nikolai is aware of this. He has also time traveled to Russia because of her.
How old is she?
I'd say she's right around 16 or 17. And Ben also is involved in this. So you got kind of a love triangle thing going on, but Nikolai and Jenny have been destined to be together throughout time, but things don't always go right.
But he's in Russia.
They're in Russia in this past life.
Oh, she's in Russia too?
They all travel to this past life and they're in Russia. Yes.
A past life, okay.
Mhm.
But presently they're in America?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
they're all three of them
Well, she
presently
didn't
in
know
America.
Nikolai. She only knew Nikolai from her dreams. So I
Right.
don't know where he came from.
Okay.
Maybe he's always been in Russia. I don't know.
Okay,
With a name like Nikolai, it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
right.
But anyway, and it's about that. And then there's also, I guess, this order that kind of looks for time travelers because you're not supposed to do that. And so they're after them to get them for traveling through time and trying to alter time.
When they time travel, when they go back in this dream or whatever, when they travel, are they the same age as?
I don't
as
know.
when
I
they're
haven't read
traveling?
this one yet.
Oh.
This is just one that I was
I
kind of
see.
looking for books that went with the future of us, and this one's kind of jumped out. I thought it was different. I like the whole music box sort of,
Mhm.
and so I looked it up and read about it and thought, oh, I like this one. So I might request this one for myself. It sounded very interesting. And then another one that I had seen was The Time Between Us, and I'm trying to remember what this one was about. Let me see. Oh, this is about Anna and Bennett. And Anna lives in 1995 Chicago. Bennett lives in 2012 San Francisco. Something happens and Bennett is thrown back in time to 1995 Chicago.
Mhm.
Meets Anna, they fall in love. But now it's kind of like Time Traveler's Wife, if you've seen that, where he keeps disappearing and going back, and he's worried that he's going to get stuck back in 2012 San Francisco. Well, you got to realize if he's 17 in 2012 and she's 17 in 1995, that would make her 34 when he's 17. So it's not going to really work out. So
Right.
I mean, so that's about their story and about can they get it so that they're together forever and that they're stuck in the same time, and if they do, what sort of consequences is that going to create? So that one sounded pretty good to me too. I like time travel books.
That's like that one of my all-time
Somewhere in Time.
favorite
Yes,
movies.
it's amazing.
Love that movie.
I've watched it over and over.
Love that
Another
movie.
one that's wonderful if you love Somewhere in Time is The Two Worlds of Jenny Logan.
Oh, really?
It's with she played the Bionic Woman.
Oh, I know who you're talking. Lindsay something.
Yeah.
Lindsay
Wagner?
Wagner.
She's in it, and it's about her and her husband buy this big, beautiful Victorian house. And her husband has recently cheated on her. He's a professor, and he slept with one of his students. And he's trying to make it up to her, and they're trying to patch up their marriage, and that's why they bought this house. something she's always wanted. She goes up into the attic and finds a wedding dress, and it's got a rip in the shoulder. She mends it, puts it on, it fits her perfectly. She puts her hair up in a bun. She looks in this antique mirror, and poof, she's back in the Victorian era. And she's really disoriented, sick to her stomach. She's kind of out of it. She runs out of the house, not realizing she's traveled through time, because it's still the same house. It just looks a little different furniture-wise. So she runs out, and this guy is yelling at her, Jenny, which is her name in the future, because she looks exactly like somebody that had already lived in that time and that had died. I
love those movies.
It is so good, yes. And you find out why there was a rip in the sleeve, and the ending of this movie is amazing. I will say that. I loved the ending.
Oh, yeah, and Somewhere in Time. It's Christopher Reeves and
Jane Seymour.
And he's in the future, she's in the past. And he's staying at that hotel that's
the Grand
up in
Hotel.
Michigan. Yeah, that's still
right.
And it's like 3 years booked. I mean, you can't even get a room in it.
Mackinac Island.
Yeah, it's an island that you have to travel by boat to get to it. And they only have carriages on there still to this day and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he goes there. I don't forget if he's an artist or a photographer. I can't remember why he goes there. A journalist, something that he goes there.
He's doing a story on her. She used to be an actress.
Correct. And he sees her picture, and he has heard about this. If you can hypnotize yourself, you can travel back in time. And he dresses up in the period clothing. You have to dress up in the period clothing. You have to make sure you have nothing of the present with you when you do this traveling. And that's what he does. He goes back and he meets her, and they're living this life, and then he pulls out a penny from his present
by accident,
and it takes him back,
and he can't get back,
and then he spends all this time trying to get back. And you have to watch the movie to see if he's successful. But oh gosh, I love that.
It's very, very good. Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that. The Two Lives
of Jenny Logan.
I'll have to get that.
2 Worlds or 2 Lives. It's one or the other. Either 2 Worlds or 2 Lives of Jenny Logan. It's like my mom's favorite movie besides Somewhere in Time. So she loved it just as much. Yeah. They don't hardly ever show it, but yeah, it's really, really good.
I'll have to check that out. I'll check that out. Oh.
It has actually, I don't know if you used to watch Dallas. The girl who the woman who played Sue Ellen. She's young.
Linda Gray.
She's fairly young in it, and she's in it.
Oh, really? Who still plays Dallas?
Right.
Who's still on Dallas?
Linda Gray. Yeah, she's in it too.
Wow. I'll have to watch it. I'll have to watch that. Okay.
So check you out a time travel movie or book.
Yeah. I'll have to get that. Okay. One of the books that I have for the children's department, and this is the #1 book right now on the New York Times bestseller list. It's called The Day the Grands Quit by Drew Daywalt. It is so cute. It's about all these crayons. And like the green crayon wants to know why, they write letters to the little boy. And like the green crayon writes and says, why am I only used for grass? Why can't I be used for the sun? Why can't I be used for the water? Why can't I be used for something else besides grass and trees? And just as the blue crayon says, why do I always have to be used for water? Why can't I be a dog? Why can't you use me for clothes? And each crayon writes him a letter asking him, why do you only use me for this? And then like the black crayon, why do I only get to outline? How come I can't be a beach ball? Why can't there be a black beach ball? And like I said, all these crayons write letters wanting to know why he does what he does with the crayons. And then in the end, he does take the crayons and he does use them for different things. But I can't remember exactly, because it's been a while since I read this. I can't remember if the crayons after a while think, I don't know if they liked the change. I can't remember exactly.
You'll have to read it and find out.
Yeah, you have to read the book and tell me, because it's been a long time since I read this book.
I've heard good things about it.
Oh, it's so cute. It is so cute. And you think about it, you do only use yellow for the sun. You only use, orange. I hardly ever used orange. There was nothing ever orange. Except fruit.
I was the one kid who didn't use them the way they were supposed to be, I'll be honest.
So you thought outside
the box. Imagine that. Are you
I know,
shocked?
I'm shocked.
Yeah. No, because I'm thinking, I made black beach balls, and I kind of Yeah, I was always in a hurry, so sometimes I was coloring outside the lines a little bit, and yeah, I did some different things a little bit more creatively. I'll be honest. I look back at some of my pictures and I'm like, what was that?
And then another book this isn't the number one book on the best time or on the New York Times, but this is one of the books that's been off and on. It's called A Long Walk to Water. It's based on a true story. Oh, it is so good. It is really a quick read.
And
It's
it's
only
by?
150 pages, and it is by Linda Sue Park, who's written some of the books for 39 Clues.
Oh, okay.
I think she's written some other books. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But it's two stories side by side, and then eventually the stories come together towards the end.
Is this a juvenile book?
This is a juvenile book. It starts out with a little girl, I forget her name, Naya. And she starts out in the year 2008 in Sudan. These both take place in Sudan during the war. And then the other one is a boy, and he's in southern Sudan, and his year is 1985. And she lives in a poor village, and she has to travel I think it's like a mile one way to get water and then carry it back. And he is in school, but the war breaks out, and the school teacher tells him to run so that he doesn't get into the army or get killed. And he's torn away from his family. So he's spending all this time trying to get back to his family. Like I said, in the end, their stories come together, and it's just unbelievable how it comes together. You'll have to read it. Like I said, it's a very, very quick read. Once you start it, you won't be able to put it down.
It looks good.
Yes, it is very good. I thought when I picked it up, I thought, oh, I'm not going to get through this book. Even though it's short, I thought, oh, it's going to take me forever. No, it took me one night.
And that's the thing. A good book, you're going through them fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always tell my kids upstairs, don't be afraid to quit a book. I have some kids that'll say, I've read half this book and I'm just not into it and it's taken forever. I'm like, stop. Pick another book. And they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, really? I should just give up and not do that book anymore?
I don't know. I can't stop in the middle.
I think you should not force yourself to read something that doesn't appeal to you when there's thousands of books out there that will.
That's true.
I see too many kids, I think, that give up on reading because of that. Because they've had a couple books that, I'm not saying they were bad books, they just weren't books that appealed to them.
Right.
They forced themselves to read it.
Right.
And now they're afraid to try a book because they're like, if I don't like it, I'm going to have to spend all this time reading. No! Stop! You don't have to do that.
But then you never know. There have been some books, like both of me and you have read, that have started out horribly in the beginning. I'm thinking, oh, geez. But in the end, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but some of these kids, they just, for
Yeah,
them,
that's true.
I think it's just better off
It's time. It's all about time.
Yeah, go to a different book.
Yep.
There's lots and lots and lots of books out there to choose from.
Yep.
Okay, my next book, I'm going to do a couple classics thrown in here this summer, and this one is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. You ever read this?
No.
This was one of my favorite books growing up. I have my own copy. It was my grandmother's and my mom's and then mine. I've read it numerous times, and I love it every time I read it. This is, to me, epitomizes a strong heroine. And what I mean by that is, this is obviously about Jane Eyre. Jane is not drop-dead gorgeous. She doesn't come from money. She's...
No, wait a minute. I'm confused here. What's the title?
Jane Eyre.
Oh, so I thought that was the author.
No, Charlotte Bronte.
Okay.
You should know who Charlotte Bronte is.
I do.
Very famous author, yes.
What else
Anyway,
has she written?
lots of things, but this is the one that...
Sorry.
Okay, anyway. So, that's what I love about this book. Like I said, she doesn't have money. She's not gorgeous. She's just very smart. Outspoken, which back in the time this was done, outspoken wasn't a great thing for women, but she was, and she's a fighter, and I love that. Starts out, she's, I think, 10, and her parents have died, and they've left her to her aunt. Her aunt's son, which is her cousin, beats her on a daily basis. He's 14 years old, she's 10, he hates her being there, and he terrorizes this poor girl. In fact, he beats her so badly one time that they end up deciding, I can't remember if I think it's the doctor that comes to treat her, because, back then, if you had money, you didn't get in trouble for things like that. They said she attacked him. She's a little bitty 10-year-old, beyond, that's the other thing, she's very tiny. And of course, they believed it, whatever. He says, I know you don't have any other relatives. We got to find somewhere else you can go. This just isn't going to work for you. So she ends up going to this school for girls. Well, you ever heard going out of the fire?
Yeah.
into the flame,
out of the pan into the fire. Yeah.
That's what happens. School headmaster hates her once again because she speaks her mind. She's smart and witty, and they just don't like that. He makes her life very hard. A lot of the other girls very hard. In fact, one of her little friends at the school, she ends up dying there because of her treatment. He makes her stand outside in the cold conditions for hours as punishment. She gets pneumonia and dies.
Wow.
So, I mean, back then, things like that happened. I mean, these weren't kids that had a bunch of money. Nobody cared. Well, she sticks it through because she has nowhere else to go. And when she gets to be, I'm not for sure if they ever actually say the age, but a young woman, she gets the opportunity to be a governess. She jumps at it to get out of there. And it's the governess for a man who has lost his wife and has a young daughter, Adele, and he needs a governess. The house is absolutely beautiful. It's old. He's gone a lot. She starts taking care of this little girl. She really loves this little girl, but the house is strange. There's doors that are locked permanently that you can't go in. At night, she hears strange noises behind the walls. Sounds like there's a woman wailing or crying. When she questions the housekeeper and stuff, they instantly clam up and tell her to mind her own business. It was her imagination. Well, when the master of the house, which is Adele's father, comes back from his business trips, him and Jane start having feelings for each other. And she falls for him. Well, there's more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can pretty well guess.
There's more to this story as to what's going on in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just a perfect book for me because it has, like I said, a strong heroine. It has romance, but not the mushy-gushy romance.
Right.
It has
Intrigue.
mystery, intrigue, horror. It has everything in it, and I think it's a great book. So, I mean, even though I know that sometimes written in an older language, it can be kind of hard to read.
I'm surprised that's not an adult book.
It's an adult and young adult.
Oh,
It's one of
okay.
the classics. We have it.
Because it starts out as she's a little girl, a
But
teen.
it's wonderful. Take a chance. Read this one. Some of the other classics that I think you would still like today that talk about a strong heroine, one of those would be Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
The movie is fantastic.
Yeah, the book is even better than the movie.
I can't even imagine,
it's,
yeah.
you've got Elizabeth Bennet, you've got Mr. Darcy, their whole tongue-in-cheek romance and, everything that goes back and forth. It's a great book. And they even made Pride and Prejudice zombies if you want to take a chance at that. Haven't done that yet, but Pride and Prejudice never gets old. It's been told over and over. I mean, there's been so many remakes of the movies, and give it a chance. You will love it. And another one that I still love, and I think this one's good even for younger girls, is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Once again, love this one. I mean, they made a really good remake.
Is that the one with Winona Ryder?
Yeah, with Winona Ryder and Susan Sarandon about 20 years ago. Really good. The old one's good too. I mean, you have there's like four sisters, Amy, Beth, Jo, and Meg. So you have four sisters, and then the mom is Marmee, and their dad is away at war, and it's just them together, and they're all different. I mean, Jo's the tomboy. She's kind of the headstrong, independent. You've got Amy's the baby. Meg is more of the motherly homemaker kind of type, and where's that Beth?
I've read that so
I don't
long
remember.
ago.
You
I
got
can't
one
even
that
remember
I'm
it.
trying to think who's who. Yeah, it's been all, and you've got one that's a little bit more dainty and into the more of the social scene, and it's about their bond together, how they're different but they're sisters till the end, and love it. It's definitely a good read. I mean, this would be a good one even for a mom and daughter to read at the same time during the summer, or sisters. Good book, good movie. So, you can still check out the classics. They don't have to be the ones that are
right.
They're
the most popular on the bestseller list.
Some classics, though, are a classic for a reason. They stand through time, and they are amazing. So,
well, and I'm a big follower of the New York Times bestseller list, and that list goes back a long, long way. And it's amazing some of these were on there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so they are bestsellers. They're just not currently bestsellers because people have moved on.
Right.
But a lot of people, from what I hear, a lot of people had to read these kind of things in high school. I don't know what happened in my high school. I did not have to read any classics unless I blocked it out.
I had to read some, but not these. I remember reading Of Mice and Men, Grapes of Wrath. I remember reading Hamlet, Macbeth, but I took a lot.
So that's more literature, I guess.
I took a lot of writing and reading courses. That's what I was wanting to go into, was journalism and literature. So I took a lot, but I read a lot on my own. Wuthering Heights is another one. Oh my, I could not read that enough and watch that movie enough. Heathcliff and
I don't know
Kathy.
anything about that.
Oh, one of the best romances there ever was.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
The only classic I have read is The Great Gatsby. But I did not see the movie.
To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, I can go on and on. I've read.
Oh, that was that movie I did.
I've read a lot of the
But I
classics.
didn't read the book.
And yeah,
Yeah, it's very rarely that I read the book and watch the movie.
and that's always the way I do it.
Very
So,
rarely.
yeah.
I either do one or the other. Because either I'm disappointed if I go watch the movie after reading the book, or I watch the movie and if I go back and read the book, I think, well, why did I spend that $6 to go watch that movie when it was nothing even close to the book?
Yeah.
So I can't do it. I cannot do both. I either have to do one or the other. So, well, I took a departure from movies and wanted to tell you something that also libraries do. Ours does it, and I'm sure others do it too, is that we also offer music. And some of the music that is being highlighted on the radio right now is the All of Me by John Legend. And I listened to the song. At first I thought, I'm not a ballad person. And at first I thought, oh, this isn't very good. This isn't very good. I've heard some of his other songs, and I've really enjoyed some of his other songs. But after I sat and listened to it again and played it for like a third time, I thought, you know what? This really isn't a bad song.
I really like it, yeah.
It's a very romantic song.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's probably going to be played at a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
And I can see,
Romantic nights.
Romantic nights, or when a guy wants to propose, it would be a very, very good song to use.
I was singing it on the way home in the car yesterday from the library.
One of the number one country song right now is Play It Again by Luke Bryan. Love this song. Love this song. I am telling you, when you listen to this music, or when you listen to this song, I think it will stir up a lot of memories for a lot of people, because you have that one favorite song. And when you hear it on the radio, that's what you say. You want to say, play it again.
And again.
Play it again, play it again. And that's when you usually go out and you'll buy the album, or you buy, back in my day, you could buy the single. I don't know if you can still do that or not.
I don't think so. I remember buying single. You
Yes.
could not only you could buy the single records, you even they had the single
Yes,
cassettes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It had two songs.
Yes.
The popular song, and then on the other side there was, another one they did. Yeah.
Yes, and it was like, I think back at that time it was like $2.50.
I was gonna say $1 or something.
Or
yeah.
maybe even
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
But that's it. And you constantly want to play it again, and that's what this song is about. And once again, it's another romantic song, and it is just, I'm telling you, if it doesn't stir up any memories, there will be that one day when you will have that favorite song, and then you'll think back to this song.
Right.
I truly believe that will happen. And of course, we cannot forget the most popular pop song, which is Fancy by Iggy Azalea.
Uh-huh.
At first, this was another song. I'm not really into pop. I'm not
I like
a
pop, I'll
person.
be honest.
I'm more into, mainstream radio music, classic 80s, and country. But, after listening to this a couple of times and looking at the lyrics, because I'm all about the lyrics. I'm not
about
a
the
beat
video.
person.
I'll be honest. I'm a very
Really?
visual person.
That could be
and
true.
you give me a great video, you've got me. Yeah, and I love the video to this because it's a take on Clueless from the 80s, starred Alicia Silverstone, and I love that movie. So when I saw this video, I was like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's there's an explicit version, and then there's a clean version that I guess they're playing on the radio, which I haven't heard it on the radio yet. But it's a very, very cute song, and it's very catchy. I mean, at the end, there's this one part, who dat,
Yeah.
I, and I was going through the whole house singing that the other day where my kids were like, can you please stop?
I heard a lot up in the teen space. Yeah.
And that's their thing. For me, who's, considerably older than people who are listening to this song right now, my kids are like, I can't believe you're listening to that. Why are you listening to that? You can't listen to that. Well, you can.
And my kids gave up a long time ago. My husband says, they did. My husband says, I will never grow up, that I love anything teen. He said, you watch teen movies, you read teen books. He said, you are...
Teen music?
Yeah. He said, that's just your era. That's what you relate with the best. And maybe. So, and I work in the teen space. But yeah, I do. I like,
Well, and I truly believe music... To me, music is very important because I think you can associate a lot of things with music. Like you being a visual person, when you see things on TV or you see a movie or you listen to the music, when something happens, you can relate it back to that song that you were listening to at the time or the movie you was watching at the time. And I think that's how memories are created.
Well, sure. I mean, there's certain songs that you can play and instantly you're back to that moment 20, 30 years ago.
Exactly.
I can do that with smells too, believe it or not.
No, I don't do that with smells.
That may be weird, but there are certain smells, like a certain perfume, a certain hairspray. There's a hairspray that we used when I went to cheerleading camp. And granted, a bunch of cheerleaders are using a bunch of hairspray. So, and I think it was Vidal Sassoon. And when I still smell
I remember that.
When I still every once in a while will smell that perfume, it's like cheer camp. I can go right back there. So certain smells are like the smell of like a certain type of smoke that reminds me of a campfire. It reminds me of all the camping in summer. There's just certain smells that can instantly take me back as well as music.
Right. My mom was a huge Avon person.
Yeah, so was my mom.
And so back in
popular,
high
I think,
school,
in that time.
there was a perfume that Avon sold. It was called Baby Soft.
Yeah,
I used to have it, and I haven't smelled it in a long time because I don't even know if Avon still sells it or not. But I think there was, I can't remember if it was my daughter, but there was one thing when they were doing like a throwback on Avon, and they had a little Baby Soft thing, and I wanted to buy it for my daughter because I secretly wanted to use it, but
oh yeah,
I wanted that smell again. I wanted to smell.
I can remember talking about Avon and smells. Yeah, they had bubble bath. Remember, it was in the tall things. I think they still make it. And
Yes, they do.
And that smell of that bubble bath, because when I was younger,
Because they say, I forget the name of it, but they say it's very good for like mosquito repellent.
Yeah.
To put it on your skin. Skin So Soft, I think is what it's called.
Maybe.
Anyway,
so yeah, I remember.
it's a good, yeah. But anyway, so I guess we had kind of like a throwback.
A throwback moment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had throwback books. We had,
And I can remember the perfume Charlie. Remember the commercial?
Yes.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that one too. And oh yeah.
Yep. And it's amazing that now the current, like there's the Calvin Klein, Eternity. I wore it here not too long ago to the library, and a lady smelled it instantly and knew exactly what it was.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Or I've gone to like a fast food counter and ordering, you've got Eternity on, don't you? So, I mean, people...
I've never had anybody know what I have on. And I wear the same one. I've worn the same one for 3 years, but I wear Coach Poppy Flower.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
Mine's Bath & Body Works spray, whatever scent I like at the moment.
I love Coach Poppy Flower.
But my favorite is Calvin Klein Eternity.
And I remember growing up, of course, it was Beautiful. That was one.
Yes.
Liz Claiborne.
Yes, I did have the Liz Claiborne.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, there was lots of perfumes growing up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of it. I remember having Guess. Guess was another popular one. Along with the jeans, you had to have the perfume and all of that.
Sunflowers was one that was real popular.
That one.
And do you remember the one I think was called like Anise or a Nay, and it was, it was really expensive. I can remember that one. Yeah.
Now my mom's, and I don't know if this was Avon or whatever, but they just sell it. Windsong.
I remember Windsong.
She loves that, and to this day she still wears it. Really? And I can only buy it at Walmart. Walmart is the only place that sells it. Windsong, there I gave a plug for Walmart. But Windsong, she absolutely loves it. So it's a cheap gift to buy for Christmas.
And books can do the same thing also in a way, because when I started reading Jane Eyre again, I was like, I can remember being, the first time I read it, I think I was like 12. And I can remember, it was one of the first books that I really loved, that I felt so grown up reading, because it was, a grown up book. And it was like I said, my grandmother's copy and my mom's copy, and now it's mine, and my daughter's read that copy. So yeah. So certain things do remind you, even reading a book again.
Yeah, that is
So,
true.
comfort books, comfort food,
Comfort
smells,
smells, yep.
songs, got all of it. So, okay, so hopefully we took you on a little trip down memory lane today and you've learned about some good music and books as well. So, we'll see you again next week. Enjoy your books, your movies, and your songs.